Sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't don't make fun of our Canadian friends, bro. You're
No,
just
it
gonna get us
wasn't
in
making
trouble.
fun. I was just, especially when you hear it in a song, you're like, oh, that guy's from Canada, Canada. It's just one word and you know exactly where they're from. I mean, I'm sure people say the same thing about when we say, like, remember when we used to, in Oklahoma, we'd go back around and be like, hand me that bag. People are like, that's not how you say it.
I know. You still
They
say
like
big.
lecture us about how you properly say a bag. And it's like, yeah, but that's how you say here in Oklahoma. It's not how you say it in Pennsylvania. Like, well, that's why we know you guys from the East Coast. It's because of how you say bag. Like,
Big. It's a bag.
yeah, big.
Bag. I still try really hard to say the A properly. Thanks a lot, John Malone, you
Yeah, we
motherfucker.
got we got made fun of so
You
much for that, man.
motherfucker.
That what was the other thing that we used to say that people used to laugh at too in Oklahoma? But we never said sorry. No, we never did
Sorry.
that.
I ain't worried. Yo, I heard my brother the other day say, or a while ago, but say like something like said something about his wife's kin. I'm like,
Oh
kin?
yeah, yeah. Keen.
Where the hell are you from? Um, all right, so there's a conclusion to this story. Maybe it's not all the way over. I'm sure there's gonna be appeals, but these two guys who in Lake Erie tried to win a fishing tournament by stuffing weights in the belly of a fish.
Oh yeah, I saw that, bro.
Right, they're going to jail.
Oh, they are going to jail.
10 days. So slap on the wrist.
Slap on the wrist for a few $100,000.
But okay, tell me you haven't thought about it before. Like entering a fishing tournament and stuffing the weights. I one time there's a leaderboard at our favorite little fishing spot in Montauk, and I had a 2.5 pound fish, and it took a 3 pound fish to get there. And I thought about it. I was like, I could maybe get it up over that limit. You never thought about it. It's just me.
Dude, when I saw it happen and the people like cut the fish open and all that stuff and squeeze out the weights and
Oh, it's
stuff,
a
and I
great
was like,
video. It's like
and I'm
there's
like, whole
weights.
yeah, I'm like, holy shit! Like it never even crossed my mind, not once.
No.
That's the thing about it is that
You
like it
know who
was
told
like,
me I should have done that?
who?
Andrew Havens. Destroying reputations.
Andrew Havens. How do we explain Andrew?
Andrew Havens was a hell of a basketball player. He got his number
Dude,
retired in
small town New
college.
York. Ooh, he was good.
JUCO number retired. That's it. I mean, he was
Like, listen, if
legit.
he had gone, he could have gone Division 2 and been a star in Division 2, and probably been a pretty good Division 1 player. But when he played, it was a small Bible college in Pennsylvania. The
What you
dude
done,
averaged
right?
like 30 points a game. He looked like the second coming of Jesus Christ. I mean, the dude was just amazing. He would dunk, and the whole entire place would go bonkers.
Oh, man.
Bro, it was brilliant.
All right, dude. So we're talking about Bible college in Pennsylvania. We better move the fuck on before we get caught up.
Bah.
All right. I sent you a video of Jason Williams, the original Jason Williams.
Yeah, bub.
I guess he wasn't the original, but White Chocolate, the
White
Kings
chocolate. There we go.
player, Memphis
The
player,
original white chocolate.
the original one. So, um,
I
I thought
liked
it
it,
was
man.
interesting. I loved him. I thought it was interesting insight by him when he said that the Kings were right to trade him to get Mike Bibby.
How many
Be-
people say that though? Like,
Oh
how
man,
many like
I've
truly
never heard
like
it.
come out
Honestly,
and
I've never
say,
fucking heard that my whole life.
yeah, and say they became a better team after I left that team? Like,
But
I've never heard
a team
somebody
more
in the
prepared
past
to
say that.
challenge the Lakers,
Yeah,
which is true.
dude, it's chocolate, bro.
Did
You
you
know,
hear him
it's white
talking about
chocolate.
Jerry West giving him a fine? He like
Mm-mm.
he says he's like in his locker and um he got a fine for saying the team was trash. He said what he said was that he said this to the media. A lot of people think the Hawks are the worst team in the NBA. They're not. We are. And so he said that to the media. So Jerry West comes down and hands him like the fine, and he takes it and just like throws it behind him. So then they come back and they're like, "We need you to apologize to the whole team." And the general manager and everything. So he like set up this meeting. He goes in there and he's like, they say I need to apologize to you guys. I don't think I need to apologize to you. But if you think I need to apologize to you, why don't you see me after this meeting? He's like, we good? And then gets up and walks out. So they suspended him for 5 games for that. That's kind of what it sounded like the type of player he was in the locker room. And I get some people don't like that, but
Dude,
he was so
am I
talented.
wrong? New York, right? He's from New York.
I don't know. I know he went Division 2 because he had some trouble in high
He
school.
he had that New York mentality or New Jersey mentality, that like the chip on the shoulder, like Like he's going to tell you the way it is, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. He's going to move on from it. You know, like and having a guy like that isn't always a good thing in the locker room unless you have the right team around it. You know, and the reality is that when a player like that is like, you guys are fucking trash, right? It makes everybody stop, you know? And let's just be honest, you know, Mike Bibby coming in there settled shit down, right? I mean, Mike Bibby is probably one of the most
Yeah, for the
calm, collective
Kings,
point guards,
there
you
was some
know,
great
in
series against the Lakers.
yeah, in that time period. And so
Great
you look
teams.
at it, you have
Chris
this guy
Webber,
that's
Vlade Divac,
yeah. You have this guy that's like creating
Mark
issues. Yes,
Jackson.
he's an amazing player, makes amazing plays, but he's causing problems in the locker room. It goes back to the Thunder and it goes back to every NBA team. You have to have a good locker room presence. If you don't, the players can't learn. If you players can't learn and develop, then they stop. It's why it's important. You look at the Timberwolves, man, they can't develop worth shit out there. Why? What do they have for locker room presence? Nothing. Well, what's happening in Oklahoma City? We've got locker room presence. How do we have locker room presence? Shea, Kenny Hustle, Dort. I mean, the list can go on of these guys that we have that are fantastic human beings. Fantastic human beings. Repeat that
Yeah.
3 times.
Dude, those Kings teams, I mean, I'm just thinking about more and more players off of those teams, and really, really fun teams.
Slip clips. Yeah, no doubt, man. Those Kings teams, though, I like Lottie Divac. I like the Mike Bibby connection. But I was a huge fan of that white chocolate connection. I'm sure if you guys had seen this Sacramento team with white chocolate out there, like directing the traffic, it was beautiful. But the second Bibby came on there and settled everything down, it was different.
If you guys don't know, man, anybody out there who doesn't know, take a few minutes and watch some Jason Williams. It's Jason Williams. There's a number of different Jason Williams.
You can
in the
just
history
look
of the
up
league,
white
but
chocolate. Every YouTube search will bring up the best player as far as white chocolate, and his plays are just unbelievable, mind blowing.
He was like the best passer that I've seen in my lifetime. Now,
Dribbler and passer combination, not just a passer, but the dribbling and passing combination. I'm passing off the dribble, the flicker.
It was like
the floaters.
Dude,
I mean,
our N1 mixtape still a thing. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, it was like he did that in an NBA game. It was pretty spectacular, but
crazy.
Obviously, coaches don't love, like, even Steve Kerr can't handle it when like Steph does too many fancy things. And I just feel like, yeah, that you weren't going to win a championship with Jason Williams, and he's going to give a coach a heart attack. But yo, so Mark Jackson. All right, you were just giving me an opinion about the fact that he should no longer have his MVP vote. No, I'm just kidding. You weren't saying that.
Well, I do believe that, especially
Yeah?
with his.
You think he should get it?
His lame ass excuse, man. That lame ass excuse of I thought it was the All NBA first team, because you have to vote 15 players in the All NBA first team and second team and third team at one time. So he knew better,
dude.
And then on top of that, are you really going to tell me that Donovan Mitchell had a better year than Luka?
Yes. I don't know. I think it's arguable. It's one of Donovan Mitchell had a hell of a year. He's the best player on the team.
All right. So maybe Mark Jackson. Maybe you're saying what is true with Mark Jackson.
So he left the Joker off of his MVP rankings, but he came out and said, because Kenny and Chuck on Inside the NBA said whoever did that should lose his right to vote for the MVP. Turns out it was Mark Jackson. The NBA revealed the voters. So one thing with Mark Jackson, if you never get involved in any conspiracy or crime with Mark Jackson, never rob a bank with Mark Jackson, because he cannot keep secrets. There is no secrets around Mark Jackson. Here we are.
Do you think it was malicious in the aspect that he was hoping for Embiid, and this is what he did as a result? Left him off it completely so that Embiid would get more points?
That's what people thought.
Now, what was the point difference between Embiid and Joker? Is it something that they could go back and be like, this is malicious, this is wrong? Could Joker actually, I don't know, sue?
I don't know. I think I say it backpack. Am I saying it right? But you're right. He should be a coach again. And
Yeah, yeah. I
I
agree.
always think that, and I would have
He was
loved the
brilliant.
Thunder to hire him. I think I didn't know the
He's
name of Mark Daignault when we hired coach. I
yeah.
mean, I knew he was the coach of the G League. That's all I would say whenever I saw his name. But like, here we are, and we're at this point where I'm like, I'm happy to have Mark Daignault, but Mark Jackson was my number one target because I didn't know anything. I'm not Sam Presti.
Sure.
But like, let's look at it, guys. Like, he should be an NBA coach. He coached that Warriors team in preparation. He helped them get ready for
He
these
developed those
championships.
Steph, man.
But he should lose his MVP vote, Dave. I'm just kidding. I'll
I,
take
I
it.
listen. I think he should be like, listen. When you make a mistake like this, that if it really did cost Joker his, MVP or closer numbers or whatever.
No, it wasn't close enough, right?
Okay, that's the thing I don't know. I
It
need to
wasn't
look
even
at
close.
those.
They added it up. It wasn't even close, bro.
Good. Well, if it's not close, then it doesn't matter. If it was close and there was an issue like that, then it would be one of those things where I'd be like, shame on you, Mark Jackson. But it's not. So
Shame on you.
thus, I'm okay with it. I mean, like if he loses it as a repercussion because he's a little bitch boy, and then you said don't rob a bank with him because he'll rat you out. So
Yeah,
I'm
but you call
calling
him
it the
a
way
bitch
it is,
boy.
bro.
You call him a little bitch boy. I'm like, well, there's a lot of people I wouldn't want to rob a bank with, but I wouldn't call him a little bitch boy. So
It's
somewhere
a
in
street
between.
name now, bro.
Somewhere in between.
Sorry, it's our street creds for us.
Dude, I'm just wondering, bro. Would if they offered you get out of jail, but you got to rat on me for 10 days, I'll get 10 days in jail. Admit that you knew that we stuffed the bellies of those walleyes with weights. Would you go to jail with me for 10 days, or would you rat me out?
No, I would never rat you out, bro. Come on, man. Take my toe.
Snitches get stitches, bro.
Hell no, dude.
Steven, what's up, man?
Sup, Steven?
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the games last night.
Yes.
Suns out.
As much as I wanted.
Even seen, bro.
No, Ayton wasn't seen. Where was Booker? Booker was just gone. I mean, he was drifting off in the wind, bro. He was just like,
It was
the
so
beach
weird.
is calling. I want Kardashian's sisters there with
No.
me.
Dude, you know what? I was thinking about this. Like, maybe it was just the fact that like she's not there with him.
Ooh.
Like, it's like,
Heartbroken
I think a
or
lot of people
penis
think,
broken.
like, well, okay. Imagine like the curse, the Kardashian curse, isn't necessarily like maybe you can actually play just as well when they're with you. It doesn't actually like fuck you up that way, but when they leave you, it takes you out. Like you just get mental.
I mean, think about the very first guys that the Kardashians started dating. I mean, they're
Right.
football players, right? Reggie Bush. I mean, it just goes to your point.
Like, yeah, dude.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know, and I can't. I don't know if we can just be like, hey, Kendall Jenner, it's her fault. Everybody blame Kendall. It's not Booker's fault. He played great.
Dude, 12 points, bro.
I'm talking about in the series. I didn't mean the game. I'm sorry.
He looked like a lost individual last night.
Yeah, but like, here's the deal, right? In the series, I think most of the time he looked like a top 5 player in the league. So, you got to give him props. But my question, dude, for you is, do they run it back? But I know they will, right? But they're gonna keep Booker and KD, Chris Paul, Ayton. Are they coming back with Shamet? Like, you tell me how deep this goes.
All right, so let's just throw this out there.
Welcome from Japan.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate you, man. If I'm looking at this, I'm looking at it. 45 million has to be shred out of this.
Yeah.
How do you get there? First of all, DeAndre Ayton is going to be taking up $30 million of that. I think the first move is you try to find somebody that will give you future draft picks for him, if not this year's draft pick for them. That's why the whole 45 million comes in, because if you can get a top 15 pick this year, plus draft picks in the future, then you're set really good. So I'm looking at that first thing. Second thing is I'm trying to figure out what other $15 million combination I can shed so I can get a couple other young players to hopefully I can develop them over the next couple of years. So when KD leaves in the next couple of years, when whoever else is coming in, Chris Paul, when he leaves in a couple years, you're not just sitting with Booker and nobody else and sitting there tweeting on your thumbs. It's hoping
I
that
think
you
they
can.
want to get rid of Chris Paul right away. I think they want
I
to get
thought
rid
so
of
too.
Ayton
I thought so
right
too.
away.
But DeAndre Ayton not playing that last game was like, that was something up. Like, I don't know. If I'm looking at it, I'm saying, first call I'm making, if I'm Sam Presti now, and the season's taking over, I'm calling the Suns and saying, I know your season's over. Before you guys do anything, please call me. I want you guys to be my first call. Whether it's trading DeAndre, whether it's trading Chris Paul, whether it's trading, blank, blank, and blank, I want to be your first call because I'll help you, whether it's facilitating a trade, whether it's whatever. That's what I'm telling. Because in my mind, the prize is DeAndre Ayton of the entire trade offseason for the Thunder. Because if we can get a big ass fucking body next to Chet, next to Jay Will, next to Poku, like it gives these guys another year to develop before we expect them to do more. And yes, we're paying $30 million for it, but it doesn't put us over the cap yet. We still have another year or 2 years before we get into that cap room, And if we can stay there and then trade DeAndre Ayton when actually he's actually more valuable in 2 years, we could get a sick trade thing in return because he has 2 years left on his contract. So for me, I'm looking at it and saying, this is our trade target for the offseason. So I want to be close with the Suns to help them out with whatever they need. Now, if they go out and they're super aggressive and trade Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, who knows? But I think Chris Paul is the reason that KD's there. And I think trading him would cause a little bit of locker room disturbance. And I don't think they want to do that yet.
They're going to do it.
You think so?
Yeah, they're not bringing him back. I think a new ownership group feels like if you weren't there for me at the end of the playoffs, I doubt that they're going to want to bring that back. And there's a question Eclipse asked about KD. Is it gone missing? What it felt like watching him play? A lot like when we got up 3-1 on the Warriors. It was like you see this elite player, elite shot maker getting to his spots, and it's just like there was a lid on the basket. And people could be like, well, maybe he didn't care. Maybe he didn't try. Like, he tried. He cared. He's a baller. He's a hooper. But
he cares.
Sometimes if you're like, I don't know, still a Marshawn Lynch, you got to keep your mental straight. If your mentals aren't right, then it fucks you up, man. And I think the things just weren't right. And it wasn't anything that could be solved with, it was just a late season trade. You can't expect a team like that to automatically.
Not just late season
become a
trade, but he
contender.
wasn't playing until 6 games before the end of the season. So, you know what I'm saying? Chemistry wise, and Chris Paul gets injured. And
I think they just need to look at it and be like, we got 2 elite shot makers. We need to build a team around those guys. We need to build a team around the style of basketball that they can play. And we might even need to bring in a coach that can coach that. But I think Monty Williams is the right
who do you
coach.
think? I think if I'm them, the number one trade target on my list, right, is the 2 young shooting guards in Oklahoma City, and that's Trey Mann, right, because of his ability to create that shot and separate. In that Monty Williams system, he would look sick. And the other person would be has to be circling is our very own Isaiah Joe, because of his defensive capability. To me, I don't want to trade these guys. I do not want to trade these guys. But listen, there's going to be trade targets on these Suns list because this is what they need. Oklahoma City Thunder have a lot of assets like that can shoot threes, hit threes, move around on defense, and all that other stuff. People are going to start looking at our guys and saying, Kenny Hustle is the guy we need in our locker room. And
yeah, but you don't pick somebody that you really want if you don't think they're available. You just kind of hold back on how bad you want them. These guys aren't available. I mean, maybe Trey Mann would be. I don't want to say
I think Trey Mann, if he's on
Isaiah Joe is not available.
Isaiah Joe, definitely not available, but Trey Mann,
the contract is too good.
Trey Mann's contract. That's why if he has a better way of getting a bigger contract outside of Oklahoma City, and he says, hey, Sam, I can get this contract if I go over here, Sam's not going to say no to Trey Mann. And Trey Mann's, this is coming up to his contract year. Unless we have a set contract with him for like what, 3 years, 26 million, 27 million, something like that, then like I just don't see us trying to. We got Isaiah Joe for that backup spot right now, just in case Trey Mann doesn't develop. And Isaiah Joe has proven his capability is just not on offense and just not shooting. And if I'm looking at it, I'm saying I want to know how much further Isaiah Joe can go. How much more, if we invest in Isaiah Joe, what can he go? Because again, he's on a very team-friendly contract for the next few years.
– Dude,
love
right.
it's just all this stuff that we have to think about. Like when we're thinking about contracts, Trey Mann, Josh Giddey, any of these guys that are coming up in contract years this next year. Like we have to be thinking about this stuff. How much are they going to demand? How much in the red are we going to have to go to get, bring this player in? Because again, we're a small market. We don't have that luxury of going into the luxury tax and staying in the luxury tax because we have to develop through the draft. We have to develop through whatever capabilities that we have through trades and stuff like that. So by going into luxury tax, we cut off our balls, and we can't do that. So we've got to be intelligent about this. And if we recognize that we have a player that is going to demand, a $50+ million contract that would take us over to the red, we have to sit back and say, is blank more valuable or is blank more valuable? Small markets suck sometimes.
Let me ask you this. This is a question from the chat, but would you rather Adams or Ayton as your backup center?
A backup? Well, first of all, I really hope, guys, that Chet doesn't play that full center position all year. All right, guys. I hope that he plays in that lofty forward position, slimming down to, block shots, whatever. Like, listen, the more strain we put on his body his rookie year, the less chance we have at the end of the season. So what I want to see him do is split that time with Jay Will, with Poku, with, blank center that we're going to bring in. Hopefully we bring in that's a veteran that's going to be able to take up that body, especially in physical games. Like I would like to see Adams, of course, wear Oklahoma City Thunder jersey again, but I know for a fact that it's going to take a lot to rip him away from the Memphis Grizzlies because of his leadership style and what he brings into the locker room and the price that he's taking in to be there with the Memphis team. Again, the only way he wants to go is if Memphis says, or if he says, I'm out, Memphis will trade him. But I don't think that's going to happen because he's really trying to work with Ja Morant. So I think that's going to stay there. So again, it comes back to the board and what's available versus what's not available. And if, again, the Suns are looking at it, they're saying $45 million have to come off. How do we get there? Strip our bench or trade one player, and hopefully we can add other players that equalize that money.
So with the Sixers and Celtics.
Sixers and Celtics. That was a surprise last night. I was really
surprised
like,
by it?
I actually was, because going into that fourth quarter, it looked like the Celtics were just done. I mean, there's like stick a fork in them, like they're just done. And then all of a sudden Tatum comes out and just like, no, guys, I got you. And I told you, I was like, 76ers have to put it away. If they don't put it away at home, they're in trouble.
All right, so that's what I wanted to ask. Are they in trouble?
They're in trouble. They're going back to the Celtics home, bro. You don't do that with the Celtics. You don't give the chance to give the Garden a breath of fresh air, bro. You don't do that. That's like Rule 101. Do not allow teams like the Celtics to get back home. Just like you don't let the Knicks go back home. You don't let these teams.
The Sixers have the MVP. You still think the Celtics are favored because they're in the Garden?
Bro, I wouldn't bet against the Celtics. I would not bet against the Celtics.
Boston Garden, or the old Boston Garden. Now I guess it's called like the TD Center or whatever. We still call
Titty
it
Center.
Yes, the Titty Center. So sometimes winning can wanting to win can backfire. So say the Celtics get behind.
Yeah.
Early. The anxiety could be really, really high. And it could create a blowout situation in reverse, like where the Sixers just get this
Yeah.
momentum and
I mean, Celtics fans can turn very quickly. Boston
Very.
are notoriously shank. Well,
yeah.
shanty.
So
I forget that word of like half shit, half fart, shart. That's the word. Thank you, sharty. There we go. I knew it was in there someplace.
So let's talk about this. Let's go through 3 hypothetical situations. But first, let's talk about what's going on with his All NBA selections that affect Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Combined, they're available for $613 million in Supermax contracts. 613. Okay, so over $500 million now on 2 players, and because of the situation, if they had lost last night, they wouldn't sign both. You don't think, right? Like they're going to trade Jaylen Brown probably if they lost last night.
Listen, I still think that Jaylen Brown in Portland makes more sense than Damian Lillard in Portland right now.
Okay.
And it sounds stupid, but
no, it doesn't sound stupid. I think there's something to it.
I think that Jaylen Brown is still very hurt that he was offered up on the trade table
for KD.
And
So if they win like the next game, they win game 7, but they lose before they make it to the finals, like to the Heat.
He's gone.
He's gone.
If they still try to trade him to a max contract, but he'll be gone. If
they make it to the finals, do they run it back?
They have to. That's 2 years in a row, man. You got to think that these guys are going to be able to break through 1 year.
Because then everybody blames management if you don't get the championship.
Yeah, man. You can't do that to yourself. I mean, Brad Stevens is an intelligent person,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he knows that if they get to the finals, he can't trade Brown. He will trade Brown if they don't get to the finals, but if they get to the finals, he's got to let it roll. And here's the thing, though. 600, I know that's an insane amount of money to think about, right? I mean, it is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, think about this, guys. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going to have to sign contracts like that eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they're going to. So, and when they do, all we're going to do is we're going to hope that they're not going to trade Jaylen Brown because we're still young and we want to see what happens with this team. Seriously. I mean, it'll be more like we hope that they don't trade J-Dub, to keep this team together, because how are we going to afford to have 2 or 3 max contracts on this team? It's because if we're getting to the Western Conference Finals every year and we're playing in the finals every year, we have that extra money to play around with. So when everybody's like, we're not going to be able to afford this team in 7 years, yes, we will. Yes, we will. 7 years is that mark. At 7 years, you got what? Shea, 31 years old, right? When did we trade Russ? 31 or 32, okay? So he's right at that age that we would possibly look. But if we're still winning, the new CBA is going to come out, and it's going to come out to be more friendly so that teams like the big markets can pick up players, which just allows this team to continue to sign players long contracts. And that's the beautiful thing of how it all was set up, and the way that Sam Presti had a very good. I mean, he got his way in this, so it's impressive, man.
So obviously we're going to talk a little bit about the Thunder, whatever we feel like talking about. But before we do, let's talk about our rival over there with the Grizzlies, somebody else who is greatly affected by the way that these contracts are set up and that the media gets to vote for all NBA selections. Ja Morant missed out on $39 million. As you called it, a $39 million gun, which I think would be a pretty nice gun. But
that's nobody in their right mind is going to vote for somebody that got like trouble like that at the very end of the season. I'm sorry. So they're not going to reward that. I was listening
to the Chris Vernon show, and I would say that they're going a little bit the wrong direction with their excitement, because they're like, hey, we get to spend the money on something else, someone else. We get additional help for Ja. This could be a good thing. Like, this is not a good thing.
They should just give him the money. I mean, really, they should just give him the money.
Can they do that?
Like I'm sure that they could. I'm sure there's something they could do because here's the thing: $39 million to keep a superstar in your program for the rest of his
Exactly, because
life
I
is
think
worth it.
it's a little foolish to think, oh
Oh
wow,
yeah,
yeah, he's
yay! We don't have
gonna
to
be
pay him
happy.
$39 million. Listen, Shea would never have had that loyalty towards us if he didn't get that $39 million. Never had that loyalty.
Well, and the argument is always like, well, Shade wouldn't do something so stupid. Like long
But
enough timeline,
it's loyalty, man.
everybody
It's
says stupid shit.
how many times did you see like an NFL player or a basketball player or somebody that had a bonus attached to time or games played or quarters played, you know, take one for the team. Like I think about there was the New York Knicks and I think it was Marcus Camby or Charles Oakley that had a bonus thing that if they got another technical, they lost $50,000 or something like that, right? But it was an outrageous call. And they went right to the ref. They got a technical, and they're like, "Well, they just lost $50,000." And they asked the player afterwards, "Why did you do that?" And he's like, "Well, it was worth it. I would do it again." You know, and that's why I look at it is that there's always these moments where these guys have these opportunities to help the team out. And yes, Ja went in with a gun, but $39 million, that team should do something to make that right because once that's gone, he's never going to be like, "Hey guys, you know, you guys owe me $39 million." It's never going to be like that. He's going to be like, "You know what? I'm good. I'm good," because they had an opportunity to make that right and they didn't. And all those people that are around Ja are going to say the same thing. If Memphis doesn't make this right, you got to leave because it's not right.
And celebrating the savings that it brings your franchise is probably going to backfire a little bit as a fan base. So whatever, good for them. They got a mess on their hands. It felt crazy coming into the season
Makes
when
me
we were
happy because
talking
I
about
hate
it, bro.
Memphis, so it
I know,
makes me
me too.
happy.
But coming into this last season, we were like, Shea is better than Ja. Shea is better than Luca. Shea is better than Zion. Shea is better than Trey. And everybody really challenged us. Like we got hit really hard. Even our friends were like, "Well, no, a couple of those guys for sure you'd
We
have to
won't name
trade
him Adam and
Shea.
Brand.
You'd have to trade Shea if you had a chance to get
One of
one of
those
these
guys. And
guys."
we're like, no,
No,
never.
not happening.
And,
Because
and,
Shea's
and,
still
and
on
it's
his
just
way up.
not,
Still at this moment on his way up. That's the thing.
it's
First
not
team All
only about,
NBA, and there's still so much improvement available.
it's just not only about his skill of hoops, man. It's what he
Yeah,
brings to the locker room. It's
Larson.
what he brings to the stabilization of the organization, man. Like, you can't look at Luca and say that he is a better all around leader and player than Shea is. You can't say that about anybody that's under 25 in the league about Shea. Shea is the premier guy when it comes to leader and player at that age. There's
All right,
nobody else that I would consider as being anywhere close to him.
at that age, his skill level, his
His
ability to
leadership
improve,
style.
his leadership style, his ability to play both ends, the fact that he is extremely well liked, and whether or not anybody wants to count it, I think fashion sense is important when it comes to the ability to be an ambassador for your team and on the worldwide stage and bringing non-basketball fans to the game. Like it's always been something that's very important. So all those things I look at it, I'm just like, we got the best one in the league. It's not even close. And then all of a sudden we're like looking at this and we're like, we've got a couple other players that I don't want to piss anybody off, right? Because Shea is legitimately just proved that he's one of the top 5 basketball players in the world. But there are other players on our team who have more natural talent than Shea. And that doesn't mean they're going to be better players.
Does not.
It doesn't mean that they're going to have higher ceilings. None of that shit is like Shea's instinct, his ability to do what he does, his ability to play his game, play within himself, and whatever. But bro, like this is going to get better because the path that he took to his level of stardom is something that other players within the program can take too, which is improvement on a daily basis,
Right.
on a yearly basis. So it gets me fucking pumped up because, Coach Dagnall second in All NBA coaching thing, J Dub second in Rookie of the Year voting, Shea, I think fourth in the All NBA voting. we're getting recognition, and it's just starting. But that's why, to me, I'm like, watch the fuck out. This next year is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. And as fans, we've seen more incredible basketball than most franchises see in 30 years. We've seen it all in the last,
I want to make this clear. When we start the season coming up here, bro, I don't expect this season to start like we did, like 2-8 or whatever we did this last year.
I agree.
I think where it's going to come out and people are going to literally be like, because the way that we run up and down the court, veteran teams take a couple months to get ready for the season. Even after the season's going, it takes them a little bit of a while to go. And I'm telling you guys, our team is going to come out and it's going to be like, we're just in the flow of everything. And teams are going to take a while to catch up to us. And by the time that they do catch up, I expect in a way for us to be in the top 3 in the West pretty much all season. Just because of the way that this team is going to come out ready to play. Now, we could drop down to the 4th or 5th position and it's like that. But the reality is that we're so intense on offense and defense that teams aren't going to stay.
Let's get carried away first.
All right, carried away. That's what we do.
If you were to say,
what's up, McKenzie?
We want to look
Carson,
at,
what's up, man?
We want to take our total schedule. We don't know the schedule, so that's fine. We're just going to say like first 20 games.
Yeah.
What record do you think we could have if we end up with a difficult schedule? Like
a difficult schedule?
Yeah, like a tough schedule. Start of the year, like not a soft one, a difficult schedule, 20 games in. What do you think our record could
15 and 5.
Okay. Where would that put us in the West?
Top 3.
Okay, and you're anticipating holding that position and ending the year with roughly how many wins?
I think we're looking at 50. Like when I said earlier this year, I felt like this team could win 55 wins, 50 to 55 wins. Like, I mean, when we said that this team could win 40 to 45 wins without Chet, people laughed at us. So like we won
What's up, Nicholas?
40 wins this last year. So I do think that I'm looking at 50 to 55 wins. And if there isn't a team that wins 60 wins in the West this next year, which there could not be, then we're talking about being, again, top 3. But if there is a 60-win team out there, then we could be in the 4th or 5th position. So it's all about in context there.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because I don't know who it was, but somebody came along and made a comment and said, like, as far as like projections, Las Vegas style for win totals and stuff, they felt like that we wouldn't actually increase our
Jackson,
right, our projected win total as much. The reason that he said was that early in the season we were facing a lot of teams that felt like we were tanking teams, so they didn't run out their best squads. So we're going to see an increase of competition. It's going to be more intense. And Vegas might come along and say 45 wins would be the total that they project. And it might even be a little bit lower than that, which surprised me, but it also makes a little bit of sense. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Well, I mean, when I broke it down, in a few podcasts back about how many wins I think this team could get, comparatively using the dynamics of what J-Dub meant to this team as a rookie and adding Chet and what
Nicholas
Chet could mean.
Nighttime pee. Sorry, Dave.
Very good. Which Chet could mean to this team. And just the baseline, I felt like J-Dub, just looking into it, was about 5 to 7 wins that he helped us win. Okay. And if you take that from Chet, 5 to 7 wins. All right. So that puts us at 45 to 47. And if that means that nobody else gets better and we stay the same caliber of a team, right? That's what I see. But I don't see that. I don't see Shea getting worse. I don't see J-Dub getting worse. I don't see any of these guys getting worse. I see them getting much, much better. So then we're adding, 5 to 7 wins because the player development aspect is getting better. Okay, we don't know who we're going to add from the offseason still. So there could be a couple more wins there. So do I see on best case scenario that we go 55 to 57 wins? Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because we don't know how much better in developmental aspect J-Dub's going to be to this team or Chet. Or we don't know how this lineup is going to dominate the NBA right now because we've never seen them together. And we don't know who we're going to pick up. We could get the number 1 pick in the draft and then it changes everything. We could get the number 4 pick in the draft and changes everything. We could get so many different aspects of being like, hey, listen, we got an opportunity to pick blank player up. All we got to do is trade this number 3rd or 12th pick. You know, like we don't know. We don't know what connections are going to happen. And I think that's why when we're sitting here saying the baseline for me is 50, that's where I feel the baseline is
man.
50. Like
I'm just going to go ahead and make today the day that I just like circle it and I say like
you said 60 by the way.
I want everybody to know that 60 wins. Everybody's got to know that. Like it
now
seems incredible.
Is this something that from the past that we've done with the Thunder team?
Not this way.
How many wins did we get from
we went from like 50 to like 58 to 60.
Okay. There was never a jump like we had from like this in the past.
We went from like 30 to 50.
Yeah, that's right.
So we saw a huge jump,
yeah.
And I thought that was going to happen this year. And if we had gone and win 50, I'd still think we could win 60 next year.
Yeah.
So
you think Chet adds? You think Chet
60
adds?
means we're the best team in the West this year. It doesn't mean we'll be the best next year. But
you think Chet adds 10, and then the development of these players add 10?
Well,
have we ever seen a jump like that in the NBA before? Like
I can't think of one, but every year I'm sure, not every year, but every time a contender moves into like serious contention, I bet they go from like 45 to 60.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
so you think that when push comes to shove, that the rest of the NBA is going to be playing catch up ball in April with us? The last 6 games.
I think if we
season.
had been accelerating into the finish line instead of like at the end of this year, we were really running out of steam. First thing. Second thing, we improved so much. I think when I say this, people will be like, okay, Shea's at a level where we could win 60 games behind him. But where are the rest of the guys? Can we really count on them to lead us to that level of wins? A lot of people are like, no, that's not going to happen. And I think that's what they felt last year.
Sure.
So instead of saying like Shea's ready to win maybe 40, but the rest of the guys won't get us there, so we're going to win 25. That's what the experts would project.
Sure.
Then we win 40. And then now I'm looking at it like Shea's ready to win 60. The rest of the guys aren't going to be ready to win 60 for 2 or 3 years. That's what everybody would think.
Dude,
but I think that they could.
Look at the jumps that
it's going to have to be those guys that get better, though.
And look at the jumps that we've seen with Shea and some of the other rookies that we've had in points through the years. All right. So Shea played his rookie year. I think he averaged like just under 12 points a game for the Clippers. Mm-hmm. Came over to us. I think it was 16, 18 points, something like that. He averaged that next year. So if we have that basic jump with J-Dub, I mean, think about how much better this team is going to be if we have a consistent 18-point player a game that's not named Shea.
Explain to me what a jump in J-Dub's offensive game would look like.
All right, so we got glimpses of it this last year. I mean, let's just put it out there. I mean, we got glimpses of what J-Dub could do when he's getting down the hill.
So it would just be more of the best of what he does. Is there anything specific he could add to his game that would make what he does easier to get to?
Bro, so he gets a lot of steals.
Right.
An insane amount of steals. His first instinction when to get those steals, right, is to get the ball up the court. Mm-hmm. He just needs to turn and burn. That's it. You know, he needs to get better at that turn and burn. That's going to add a lot to his game. Because if he gets 3 steals a game, 2 steals a game, which I think he's going to be probably doing, and they're open court, I mean, slams and dunks, I mean, those are the type of thing that hype up your team and hype you up. I mean, you could add 6 points to yourself just by getting hyped up like that.
This sounds ridiculous, but if I were in J-Dub's corner, I would say, go back and watch Giddey rookie year clips. Watch a lot of them. Watch the way Kenny Hustle moves without the ball. Watch the way Isaiah Roby moves without the ball. Those two guys really found ways to be successful with Josh Giddey out on the court.
Yeah.
And if you can find ways to even get better at cutting, that's 4 easy points.
Yeah.
If you get to the free throw line at a better clip, that's 4 more easy points. Like, that's every game.
Yeah.
And then you add in what? You're saying, like, get another poke out steal per game, get out in the open court and run a little bit, a little bit more.
We are going to average more.
So you said 18, but are you just being a little bit modest? Do you really think there's like a secret number, like high end J-Dub number that you don't even want to say out loud, but you can just tell us?
Oh yeah, I already have it circled, bro.
What's that? What is it?
You really? You want to go there?
24
points a game.
I
think J-Dub. I think
if we want to talk about 60 wins, that's what we need, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about J-Dub. I put 18 as being modest because I think it's gonna, all depend on how hard he works out this offseason. But I feel that J-Dub is mature enough and old enough to understand what it takes to become an NBA player now, and I feel like he's going to put enough out there that people are going to stop. People are going to really stop and be like, I think J-Dub is going to be the blank face of the NBA for blank many years. And that's what's going
Look,
to
the
put it up
guards who dunk the most in the league are always the ones in the commercials.
there. Always. They're always the prime. Is it? I mean, it's
Vince
always
Carter.
yeah. It's
Kobe.
always the prime, the best of the best. You know, like, and I think that's what we're looking at with J-Dub is that he's going to be that explosive guard that does everything, that does defense, offense, and people call him the mini claw. But when push comes to shove, I think he's going to be better than all of those guys.
Really?
And I do, and I think next year is going to be the moment that he brings the NBA to his
You
level.
think he could ever average 30? Like when as young, like near the age of Shea or a number of years?
Dude, if he's 24, right, and he keeps on developing like he is, and he gets to 20 plus points a game next season, then yeah, year 3, year 4, I think he's averaging 28, 20, something like that. I mean, the thing about J-Dub is he's efficient like Shea. These guys don't need to shoot the ball 20 points, 20 times a game to get 30 points. They don't. They need to shoot the ball, 15 to 18 times, and they get 30 points. And I think that's because of the way the systems are run. And if you run that system that way with J-Dub and Shea, it's just going to flow. I mean, these guys are going to take 40 shots a game or 30 shots a game and average 60 points between them. I mean, the 1-2 punch is going to be disgusting. People are going to well, what about Chet? What about these people? Yeah, listen, 30 to 40 shots a game is only 30 to 40% of shots in the game, guys. That's it. So all these 60% and 70% of shots are still going to be taken by the other players on the bench and other players on the starting lineup. That's the phenomenal thing about it.
And this is where you can, once again, tip your hat toward Coach Daigneault and look at it and say, like, as a young team, we still, I think we might have been the lowest turnover team in the NBA, but I think we're at least top 5. We
didn't turn
very
over the ball.
rarely turn over the ball. And when you, like you're saying, if you want to get up these maximum number of shots, you need to get up maximum shots as a team.
Yeah.
Avoid turnovers.
You need to get to 100 to 115 shots a game, guys. That needs to be your average.
Then it doesn't become hard to imagine, like at all, what it looks like with Chet. Nobody has to give up shots.
And his offensive rebounding, bro.
Yeah.
You don't listen. An offensive rebounder doesn't need the ball. He just doesn't. He's going to get 6 to 10 points off of offensive boards every fucking night. So you don't need to go and say my offense needs to run around this guy. It needs to be my offense needs to run through this guy. By the end, he needs to be underneath the basket. That's how it's run. I mean, it's every offensive person's dream is to be able to be in a flowing offense. Offensive rebounder dream is to be in a flowing offense like the Thunder is. It's moving around. It's allowing Chet to get into the proper position because he's watching guys' shots. He knows where those balls are going. He puts himself in that position. It's offensive board, put back in, put back dunking in. It's all part of it, and it's beautiful. It's a togetherness. And if you look at what this team's going to be able to do with Chet, I don't think that Chet's going to ever come in here and be like, I need to have 20 points a game. Yes, I do think he's going to work up that way. But I do think with Chet, it's going to be, he's going to earn his points through offensive boards by getting up the court, by fading out, doing the things that these guys are already doing. Backdoor, alley-oops. I mean, there's things that we're going to see Chet get involved in the game. But as these other guys are taking over, it allows Chet to just find his groove. And I think that's something that a lot of Rookie of the Year candidates never truly get an opportunity to do, is find their groove inside the system. And Chet can come in here, he sets the screens right, he rolls right, he fades right, he does all the other things that he's supposed to do and focuses on himself and not trying to make this team win and just focuses on the things that he is. We're going to see a different side of this team because we've never seen anybody of Chet's caliber come into the league. Just never. And people will be like, well, blah, 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 blah. Listen, defensively, the way he blocks shots, the way he gets up the court, the way he sees the court, his dribbling and shooting abilities at 7'2". We've never seen it. And people are like, no, he's 7'1". No, he's 7'2", guys. We've never seen it in the league. And because of that, the caliber of style that he'll be able to play, we don't know what he can do. But I don't want him to come out and be expecting him to score 16 to 20 points a game his rookie year because that's not what we need him to do. We need him to go play hard-ass defense, get rebounds, and put back shots that are wide open offensive boards, bro. And that's the
Shoot those
most
transition
basic,
threes.
simplest way of bringing a big man in the game.
All right, so we'll leave it there. Before we jump out of here, though, I want to do a couple of things. Ryan, I think you're right about Dort getting better. There's so many guys that can get better, and every guy will get better. Every guy will get better.
Everyone.
You think about early in the season, we saw the way Moose was shooting the ball. Like that's where Chet's gonna step in and play those same roles, but at a much, I think, better
Higher.
rate.
His ceiling of getting to the hole and creating that is downhill is insane, bro.
Let's see. So, Carson, you wanted to know where we see Brown ending up this offseason. So, I'm going to give a name. Dave, you give a name, and then we'll leave it there, okay? I think that they could set up a trade with Atlanta, where Atlanta ends up giving up Murray, and Atlanta ends up with Brown and Young as their kind of two, all-star combo. It would take more than Murray, but I think that would be where I'd say Atlanta. What do you think, Dave?
Man, I'm going to do a surprise. You ready for this? The Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
I'm going to pick the Phoenix Suns. Here's the reason why. Have we ever seen a combo that would be the 1-2-3 combo that would be in Phoenix with Booker, KD, and Brown?
How could they get him without giving up KD or Booker?
Ayton and Chris Paul.
That sounds like a shit deal for the Celtics.
No, bro, are you kidding? They get yeah, I hear what you're saying, but on the same sense, think about this though. They get two players that are going to help their system out immediately. Like, what are they missing most right now? A big man, right? They just are. They're missing a big man. So they get a big man
who doesn't show up.
And they get but it's a different place, bro. A different atmosphere. You know he's going to be a different player. And then you get Chris Paul, who's one of the greatest guards of our generation, to help Tatum.
So he's not there in the playoffs?
Dude, I know, it's ridiculous. But I'm just saying, like if I'm looking at it and it's either Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton or Damian Lillard.
I like that one. To me, that makes sense, but I think for the Celtics, that's a high level of risk. But
who would you rather, Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton or Damian Lillard?
See, Damian Lillard.
Really? Okay.
Not even
you would
close.
Go straight for that. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
Nice. Okay.
Chris Paul,
he's old. I get that.
If you're trying to build a culture, okay, fine. Chris Paul might be your guy. Damian Lillard would be a hell of a guy too. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be a great guy, but Lillard's game right now, dude. This was like his best season.
Can you win it with just Damian and Tatum and bench, whatever? Or do you need a special add-on?
So this was an argument I heard, like Jay Williams and Keyshawn Johnson or somebody, they were talking about like Brown and Tatum end up having overlapping skills. And so they end up, if they run a pick and roll with those guys, it's easy for teams to switch because they're just both forwards. Whereas like if you end up with a point guard or like a center and a forward, those two combinations, it's harder to switch. So I think maybe there's that. Like you could end up having both Tatum and Lillard involved in end game situations instead of one standing in the corner and the other one not involved. That would be my thing.
All right, so we got Knicks. What about just thinking here, because I know we have a lot of Thunder fans that are Brown fans, like I am. Jaylen Brown fan through and through. What would it take for the Thunder to get Jaylen Brown at this point? Could they? Or are the Celtics simply looking for another star to go along with Tatum?
That's the thing. We'd have to give up something we don't want to give up. It wouldn't be picks. And that's why we wouldn't want to do it.
It wouldn't be just picks. You're right. Absolutely. So it would need to be players, and that's just not something we're not willing to do at this point.
Not us. Let's just say that. All right. Ryan saying Raptors. I like that. All right. We're going to leave it here, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
What's up, AVAX?
I got to piss.
Appreciate it, man.
Now, dude. Sorry, guys.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
See ya.